Welcome to Honeybee. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell. Real stories of love, lies, and betrayal, where every truth stings. Let's begin. My name's Gavin. When I met my fiancée, it felt like I had just found the missing piece of my life. She came from a warm, close-knit family, and I loved that about her. I wanted to be part of it because they were her world, and she was mine. When I asked Jasmine to marry me, I wasn't just choosing her. I was choosing her entire family. You see, I don't have parents anymore. I lost them when I was young, and for years I lived without knowing what real family felt like. So when Jasmine introduced me to hers, it meant the world. Her parents became more than just her parents. They became family to me. I called them on birthdays, showed up whenever they needed help, and made sure they knew I cared. Jasmine is the oldest child, and a lot of responsibility falls on her. Her parents are retired with little savings, so when trouble comes, they turn to her. And then there's her younger brother, still in college, still finding his way, and she's always there making sure he stays afloat. It's a heavy load for one person to carry. I remember one night we were supposed to go out for dinner, but she canceled last minute. Her mom had called crying because they didn't have enough money for groceries. Jasmine had just sent the last of her paycheck to help them. She didn't say much after that. She didn't have to. Sometimes you can see the weight someone is carrying in their eyes. That night, I made a choice. I started quietly stepping in, helping where I could, filling in the gaps without drawing attention to it. Jasmine appreciated me for it, and that meant everything. I didn't do it for praise. I did it because I loved her. When you love someone, their struggles become yours. We met through a mutual friend, and the first time we talked, something just clicked. Back then, I didn't know much about her personal life. She kept things light, focused more on our connection than on herself. There were no warning signs, no drama, just an easy, steady energy that made me feel safe. Even in those early months, I noticed how busy she always seemed, but she never complained. If she had to reschedule, she'd just say, family stuff came up, and leave it at that. I respected that about her. She never tried to impress me with sacrifices or guilt me with sob stories. It took almost a year before I truly saw how much she was carrying. Jasmine wasn't just helping her family. She was holding them together, whether it was getting her brother to class, managing her mom's medication, or paying bills when her dad couldn't. She was the glue. And still, she smiled, listened to me talk about my own stress, and kept our relationship strong. What amazed me most was how she never complained. She didn't use her responsibilities as an excuse or a shield. She simply did what had to be done because she believed it was right. And honestly, I've seen people walk away from their families over far less. But Jasmine stayed. She gave everything she had without asking for applause. That's probably what made me fall so hard for her. Losing my parents changed the way I look at family. So when I saw how deeply she valued hers, it struck something in me. I admired her. I wanted to stand by her. So after 2 years, proposing to Jasmine didn't feel like a leap. It felt inevitable. I wasn't guessing or hoping she'd say yes. I knew, and when she did say yes with that same quiet grace she brought to everything, I felt sure we were ready. A few weeks before Easter, Jasmine asked if I'd join her family for the holiday. Of course, I said yes right away. I didn't need to check my schedule or think twice. That's how it always was with her. Family. If they needed me, I showed up. I even took time off work so I could spend the entire weekend with them. I woke up excited the morning we were supposed to leave for her parents' place. I know that might sound silly now, but I was genuinely looking forward to it. It felt like one of those rare moments where I could just relax and be surrounded by a family I had grown to love. Then Jasmine came into the room looking uneasy. I could tell something was bothering her. She said quietly, "Hey, so my parents decided it's going to be just family this year. Only immediate family." I thought I misheard her. "Just family? You mean I'm not coming?" I asked. She bit her lip and nodded. "They just want to keep it low-key this time, babe." I just sat there. I didn't argue, didn't raise my voice. I told her, "That's fine. You should still go." She hesitated like she was waiting for me to get angry, but I didn't. She kissed me on the cheek, said she'd call later, and left. When the door shut behind her, the silence in the house was deafening. I knew I couldn't just sit there and stew in it, so I booked a last-minute solo trip. No plan, no destination, just me. Before Jasmine, I used to do that a lot. Throw a bag in the car, pick a random spot and just go. But I'd stopped after we got serious, thinking I didn't need that part of me anymore. Turns out I did. I ended up in a small coastal town. It wasn't fancy, just quiet roads, salty air, and strangers I'd never see again. And in that stillness, I let myself feel the hurt. I realized what truly cut deep wasn't a missed Easter or the lack of an invite. It was knowing that no matter how much I had given to her family, I was never really seen as one of them. I didn't text her. That weekend gave me something better than peace. It gave me clarity, and clarity doesn't always bring answers. Sometimes it just lets you sit with the questions. When Jasmine got back, you'd think nothing had happened. She told me about her aunt's potato salad, laughed about her cousin falling into the kiddie pool, and I just sat there listening to her describe a gathering I wasn't welcome at. That's when I made a decision. If they didn't see me as family, I'd stop playing the part. Quietly, I started pulling back. The next time her mom needed help, I stayed out of it. The next time her brother needed money, I didn't send any. I had given too much to people who couldn't make room for me. Eventually, Jasmine asked me directly. Her dad's business was short on inventory, and she said, "Could you help just this once?" I looked at her and said calmly, "Not this time. I'm not family enough." The silence after that was heavy. She blinked, confused. "Wait, are you serious?" I nodded. She stood there staring at me, maybe waiting for me to soften, but I didn't. I meant it. She walked away upset, but I didn't follow her. What I kept wondering was, did she defend me when they told her not to bring me? For Easter, did she push back? Did she say, "If he's not welcome, I'm not coming"? Or did she just accept it? Maybe I'll never know, and maybe I don't need to. A few weeks later, she mentioned her cousin needed help starting a business. Normally, I'd have jumped in, but this time, I just said, "I think I'll sit this one out." Then came another request. Her uncle needed legal help. Again, I said no. Each time, my answer was the same. "It's not my place anymore." That was the phrase that finally set her off. One night she stood there, arms crossed, and said, "So this is how it's going to be now? You're just going to punish me and my family every time we ask for help?" I didn't speak. She went on, "You're being petty, Gavin. This isn't you. This isn't the man I agreed to marry." I had 100 things I wanted to say, but none of them would land the way they needed to, so I stayed quiet. I let her feel whatever she was feeling. When she realized I wasn't going to argue, she walked away again. That night, I missed a few calls from an unknown number. Then came a text. "Hi, Gavin, it's Jasmine's mom. Please, call me." The next night, she called again, and I answered. Her voice was gentle. "Gavin, I heard you were upset about Easter. I'm so sorry. It was a big misunderstanding. We honestly thought you had to work, or that Jasmine told you we were keeping it small. Of course, you were meant to be there. Your family." I just listened. She said all the right things. How they miss me. How I should have spoken up. How it wasn't intentional. But it didn't feel like a misunderstanding. It felt like the truth had slipped out when nobody thought I'd notice that I was never really one of them. I was just a man who showed up with my wallet, my tools, my solutions, but not someone they pulled in for real family moments. I thanked her politely, told her I appreciated the call, but inside I knew better. They didn't forget me. They just didn't consider me. That solo trip gave me more than space. It gave me perspective. It wasn't about one holiday. It was about what it showed. Me, I was never truly in their family, only orbiting around it. They didn't see me as someone to celebrate with. They saw me as someone useful, convenient. And what stings the most is knowing it was an accident. I paid for that celebration, and they still chose to leave me out. That's not a mistake. That's the truth showing its face. Now that I've stepped back, suddenly, everyone's scrambling, suddenly, apologizing. But the timing is too neat. The concern only showed up after the benefit stopped. That's not love. That's dependence disguised as family. When I got home, Jasmine was still distant. It feels like we're living in two different versions of this relationship, and maybe that means we don't have a future together. But one thing I know for sure, I'm not going back to being the quiet, dependable guy who gives and gives while being overlooked. I've made peace with my choice. Maybe it will cost me more than I expected, but at least now I'm standing in my truth. And if standing in that truth means walking forward alone, so be it. Thank you for listening.